is what we're talking about right now, how we're talking about the whole concept of a residency. With everything going on with black men, right? Don't give your ideas away. We're already fighting the good, right? Exactly. We already fighting that fight. And I want to share something with you guys. Justice Katanji said something really powerful, but it really stressed me out majorly. Like, it made my anxiety so much worse. But I get it and I applaud her for it. And it's just such a thin line because I don't want to speak out of turn while I have something in the Supreme Court. But baby, first I was like, yes, yes, yes. And then I was like, oh my God, no, 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 no. So I'm going to read it to you guys so you know what it is. But let's just say me feeling like I had a 0.1% chance of being approved in the Supreme Court just went down to like point 0. I'm just being realistic. I mean, anything is possible with God. So even point 0 could turn into something, but I'll tell y'all why I feel like that. But real quick, back to what I was saying about this show that we're going to talk about. Black women being afraid to come together. I'm asking the question. I'm not saying that that's what's happening. I'm just saying I feel like with everything that's going on with our brothers in this industry, with all the things that we're discovering, with all the debauchery that we're hearing about, we did a great conversation. Oh, so Sora said, don't say that. Speak light and truth to power. I am. I'm still going to speak truth and light to power. And hey, listen, here's the deal. Okay, let me finish this thought. And then I'm going to tell you guys why I'm going to continue to push forward, even though I know I have really seriously at this point have a quadruple snowball's chance in hell. But I did do an opinion piece that I want to read here with y'all because it ain't that many of y'all on here. And like they say, do the art, put it out there, and let God do the rest. But real quick, my question in our next conversation is, with everything going on with our brothers out here in these streets in the entertainment industry, if you have not had a chance to watch our live from Friday, please go watch it. It's really, 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 really good. I know that there's a long, like 12-minute clip in the beginning with C. Dolores Tucker talking about gangster rap. But you guys, please listen to it. I put it on there on purpose, and I let the whole thing ride out on purpose because what she's saying, she is prophesizing, period. She nailed it. 100% of what she said then is happening right now today. And my question is, how do we respond to this? How are we going to be proactive? Because we've been reacting to all of this stuff that's been happening with these guys in the industry. But how are we going to be proactive about it? Can Black women come together, forget about all the division, the jealousy, the she said this about me, I don't like her. You know what I mean? Because what really made me think about this is I was watching a clip with K Michelle, who I adore, and she was talking about how we need Black men to step up and we need Black men to really. It's a really good clip. She was on Cam Newton's show. I can't think of the name of his show right now, but it was a really, really good clip. Me and my one earring. You need to see you and be reminded. But she talked about Black men showing up and being involved in building the Black family, which is so important in our community. That's my dog snoring, y'all. I'm sorry. Kato, you snoring on my live. Don't be snoring through what I'm finna read, neither. Wait-o. But then she made this really powerful statement about Black men and how they need to show up for each other. And then I see a clip of her and Miss Tamar, an issue that she has with Tamar. And it's crazy because, there's so many women out here that are so dope. K Michelle's dope, Tamar's dope, Nikki's dope, Selena's dope, Portia's dope, who's she feuding with? Drew is dope. Like, so many of us out here with so much sauce. that just cannot seem to figure out how to let go of what had happened was and really come together and unify and create a really amazing place for all of the people who love all of us to come together and get just that, all of us, the best of us. We have convinced ourselves that the only way that we can be popular and the only way that we can be hot is to read the fuck out of each other and to talk negatively and to spread gossip and, venom and hate. And it's so sad because imagine if all of these women with all of these huge and like it's crazy because as soon as you see somebody that you think has all their shit together, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. As soon as you see somebody who you think has all their shit together and they got all of these like millions of followers, one day you look up and shit like my ass, you realizing that they catching hell. Who was it? The B Simone just recently had a clip where that came out. Sometimes we see Lizzo and she's up there and doing her thing or whatever, and then the next moment it's like, what the hell? Even with Cardi, it's like we as women in entertainment and media have so much reach. We have so much power. We have so much sauce, and we just refuse for whatever reason to drop that trivial shit and come together and build something amazing where we can all participate in, because you guys, and by you guys I mean fans of K Michelle, fans of Tamar, fans of Brownstone, fans of Selena, fans of Angie, fans of this one, fans of that, y'all would love, I'm sure, to be able to come to a place in this digital world where you can get the best of all your favorites without all the bullshit and without all the drama. But we've allowed ourselves to be convinced that the only time we have value is when we're tearing each other down. And I absolutely hate the shit. I hate it. I hate that 13 years later, R&B divas still ain't cool with each other. I hate, somebody sent me a clip being messy, wanted to see it, wanted a reaction, wanted me to react. But somebody sent a clip of Shantae Moore on a podcast, the same podcast as this podcast is always trying to throw somebody from R&B divas under the bus as they elevate another. But anyway, she was on this podcast and the question was asked, would she do R&B divas if it was a reboot? And basically, she, in a nutshell, she was like, I wish them the best. And she's like, no, I wouldn't. There's been enough of that. And I agree with her because I wouldn't do the shit either. Not until, really big changes were made, right? But it's just sad that so many of us from that show have that feeling about it because it was a really good show. It was a really good show and it was a really good platform and it was a really great opportunity for us. And I'm not just talking about R&B divas. I know it seems like every time I come on the live, I'm talking about either R&B divas or the case or whatever. I mean, it's the real shit that's going on in my life. But, I don't want to, seem one-dimensional in the dialogue. And to see somebody as great and freaking incredible as Shantae Moore feeling like, yeah, I had that experience. It was whack. I'm not doing it again. That's not what she said. I'm paraphrasing. But just the fact that she's just like, yeah, I don't need to do that no more. I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible that we couldn't continue to evolve and grow that brand. It's terrible that to this day it's still, and I'm not even going to say the name. I'm not going to say the name. But in the clip, it was something like, yeah, there was talent on the show to send producer to a hospital. I'm like, huh? Who did that? We did, like why is there this constant desire to like put 10 on, put 20 on 10 as it relates to that? Why is there always the seed of division and destruction that just continues to permeate this franchise? It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Let's see what y'all saying. Crabs in a barrel syndrome. Exactly. Yeah, but we as fans don't make it any better. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let me talk about that too. Exactly. The manipulation went deep and you ladies have trauma from it. Yep, that's right. 1922 in this mug. Okay, so let me let me address Dress and Rest first. Yeah, figure out how to say this without it coming off crazy. Fans felt the need, I think, and I think this happens in reality TV a lot. Fans feel the need to choose sides. Fans feel the need to be either team Nene or team Kenya, team Selena or team Nicki, team this person or team that. That's why somebody was like, "Oh, would you ever do what was the competition show that came out?" Well, I'm not even gonna name it. I know what it is, but I'm not gonna name it because I ain't trying to fuck up nobody else's brand on negativity. But the competition viral show that was out during the pandemic, where you had kind of groups competing against each other, who's the best, who had the best, who had the best. I'm like, we're artists, we're creatives, right? Like, you don't choose what your best. I mean, you might have a favorite outfit, a favorite designer, a favorite bag, a favorite shoe, but you're not like, yeah, this Giuseppe way better than this Louboutin. You know what I'm saying? This Giuseppe, you know, it's like we don't do that with fashion. We don't do that with art. We don't even really do that with food. You know what I'm saying? You be like, ooh, the sushi was amazing. And then I went to Outback and that steak was incredible and that whatever. The only place where you got to choose which one you're going to ride with and which one you support is in reality TV and entertainment. And that is because that narrative has been driven by, once again, culturally incompetent producers and companies and networks. And it is as simple as us coming together and deciding we're not going to do that shit no more. It's that simple. Now we're hearing through the grapevine, which we don't know, no pun intended, that housewives might not come back because the liabilities associated with it. Now, I don't know how real that is. And of course, we hear a lot of shit that's not really the truth. But my point is just, well, when you look at it from that perspective, would that be an altogether bad thing? Would it maybe give us an opportunity to come together, to work together? Diana versus Gladys. Exactly. Michael versus Prince. Exactly. Exactly. There's always this constant. Now, let me say this though. It wasn't as prevalent then, right? They tried to sow that and they had a lot more power to do it because they could just put stuff, headlines in paper and the artists don't even know shit about it. Like it was, I remember there was this fake beef that was created between Aaliyah and Brandy. You know what I'm saying? It's always in Biggie and Pac. Like Biggie was like, I ain't even beefing with the dude like that. I'm not really even. And so back to this is the whole show. I don't want to get too deep into the show because this is our nights with Nicci. Well, maybe it's our nights with Nicci. But my point is just the media has the way of sowing seeds of division, and they've done it for years. And as a community, we thrive on it. And I get it. It happens in the soaps and it happens, but you don't see it. It happens in the soaps. It happens in shit that you know is not real. What they have done in our community is they have convinced us that the soaps, which that's all the reality TV and half of the shit that we be watching really is some made up soap opera shit. They've got us convinced that that shit is real. And it is totally not. It is so contrived and you know, concocted and pots stirred and whatnot. And the fact that here, 13 years later, we still got producers saying stuff like, oh, there was talent on that show that was so destructive it sent people to the hospital. Who sent somebody to the hospital? Please, somebody from R&B Divas tell me, was this the Atlanta? Because Atlanta, I don't recall that happening. I don't know what happened in LA because I was kind of, prevented from being involved in that. But I'm just curious because somebody sent me the messy ass clip, and I'm just curious what cast member sent a producer to the hospital on R&B Divas? Because that is the kind of toxic, destructive. When I say that, you know, yeah, producers set things up, whatever, I can back that shit up. I can back it up with an email like that. I can back it up with a text message like that. I can back up everything I'm saying about what happened on that show. I want somebody to back up the cast member who allegedly put a producer in the hospital because of the stress, or maybe they didn't get in the hospital, but they was getting sick or something. I don't know what it was, but it was on one of them shows. Let me see what y'all saying here. Hollywood doesn't believe in talent anymore. They don't. Um, they believe in money, cash, and I wish that we would understand the power that we have in the cash that they make. I just said it the other day. Black women, our stories, they of course they love our stories. They always want to hear our stories. They just don't want us to tell them. Tyler can tell them. Will Packer can tell them. And I'm not shaming these brothers because get your bag. I mean, but damn, when do Black women have an opportunity to tell our own stories? Here I'm a Black woman who created a show to tell real stories about R&B divas, and I didn't even have the opportunity to have any say in the show I created. Happens all the time here. And that's the reason why that shit falls apart. Because y'all don't listen to us. You didn't listen to C. Dolores Tucker. You just don't listen. You didn't listen to Kamala. People just don't listen to Black women. And they don't listen to us because I know our delivery can be a little spicy, a little saucy. We can talk like we know what we talking about because 9 times out of 10 we do. And yeah, we could be a little softer around the edges and a little more soft life-like. But this shit ain't soft. Ain't nothing soft about what's happening in our community. This shit is hardcore horrible. And you want us to be frilly and a little more diplomatic in our delivery and shit like that. And that's a hard position to be in when you have said things nicely, when you have said things the politically correct way as a woman of color in this country, when you have, dumbed yourself down a bit just because you don't want people to take you to. I mean, I think about what our Vice President Kamala Harris had to, she had to be very conscious of not coming off like an angry woman of color. You understand? No matter how right the things that she was, and I don't know, like I said, I don't know enough about politics to know who's who and what's what, but I do know about being a Black woman in a high profile anything and how the onus is on us to fix shit, right? Because we the queens of cleaning shit up for people and making things better for people. But we're always labeled difficult, loud, angry, bossy, not a girl's girl. And we're handling everybody's shit. And the opportunity to improve our communities, the opportunity to change the narratives in entertainment and media, which is largely responsible for where Black people are today, we never get them, no matter how hard we fight. So imagine you are in a space where you're building billion-dollar brands and you get dust when it comes to the needs that you have for your family and for your wellness and for your community. And I say over and over again, no one cares about our community, not just our community. No one cares about the world like women, Black women in particular, BIPOC women in particular, because we have a higher rate of single mothers. We have a higher rate of poverty. We have a higher rate of doing 10 times as much for 10 times as little. We have the ability to make something out of nothing every single solitary time. So for some reason, people have become comfortable feeling like that is what we're here for. That is what our purpose is. And until we get to the point where we realize that our purpose is not to go on TV and be divided and dog each other out and cuss and spit and fight and be traumatizing to ourselves and each other so that you can make millions of dollars. Our job is not to be the scapegoat for somebody who stole some shit from somebody else and convinced you to put your fucking name on it and pretend like you actually created it when you did not. I ain't saying that happens all the time. I'm just saying. for us to assume that sleeping with somebody else's husband is not going to eventually come around and bite you in the ass. But people want you to do that shit on television. People want you to perpetuate those stereotypes in the media. For you to think that your fan base is going to grow into their golden years and still be talking about wet ass pussy because you've been convinced that that's what you need to do and that's what you need to rap about and that's what you need to project to the world, because a company that makes a whole lot of money off of you doing that dumb shit has convinced you that you a hot girl and gave you a whole bunch of money that's not going to last your whole life. Just like your career is not going to last past that generation. If you want longevity, if you want to establish, and granted, I'm sure that there are people out here that do that kind of shit that have made enough money to last a lifetime and that their kids are straight. But at what cost to your mental, physical, spiritual wellness? And at what cost to the community that your kids have to live in, that your kids belong to, right? If what is happening with Diddy, here I go on my soapbox, y'all. I'm sorry, but God is putting it in my heart. And I wish I could say it softer and kinder and gentler, but I can't. If what is happening with Diddy, if what is happening with allegedly Diddy, allegedly Tyler, allegedly Fat Joe, allegedly this one, allegedly R. Kelly, if what is happening with all of these men in entertainment who are moguls, Russell, all these people, they are the cream of the crop when it comes to entertainment industry moguldom, or were. And they snatched it from under them, and they're potentially going to lose all of it. That should be a sign that doing things the way that they have been done for many years is not the solution to building generational wealth and wellness in our community, which I have been talking about for the last 10 years. I feel like C. Dolores Tucker. I feel like I am, and she went, speaking of going all the way to Capitol Hill, and then I'm going to share this with y'all because this is a very important opinion, that piece that I wrote. But she went to Capitol Hill and she told them, like, look, if we don't change directions here, our community is going to be destroyed. Our community is going to be negatively impacted by the decisions we are making today to allow these lyrics and this lifestyle and this crap to continue. And, you know, when you go and you look on the YouTube channel, WIRF.TV, I pinned it. I love that we're getting interaction. Sora, we're getting a lot of interaction on this show, a ton of interaction, which is, thank God. You know, people are talking about it, and commenting and arguing. And some of the comments are, yeah, she might have had a point, but she was out of touch and the delivery was wrong. It's always the delivery was wrong. It's always the delivery, but the delivery was wrong. After years of oppression, years of not having equality, not being heard, being locked out of rooms. We know Black women were locked out of rooms because Black women weren't participating in them freak offs. Well, okay, I don't know what people was doing. But I'm saying, if you didn't acquiesce to some of these things that we're seeing in the headlines, if you're like, nope, I'm not going to that party, nope, I'm not doing that, nope, I'm not, then the opportunities did not come to you. Clearly, these people who have allegedly done some really egregious shit just keep getting opportunities from these people who fund that. But back to this commentary real quick. A lot of people said that C. Dolores Tucker was out of touch. A lot of people said that C. Dolores Tucker's delivery was wrong. A lot of people disagreed with her in that moment. And now Suge Knight, of all people, is saying the same thing that C. Dolores Tucker has been saying for years. It's time to restore our community. It is time to tell the truth about all this horrible shit that's been going on. And it's time for us to get ourselves back on track. And he is appealing to rappers, Diddy in particular. Like, dude, tell the truth. Shame the devil. That's what everybody's saying now, because we've all become older, wiser, closer to C. Dolores Tucker's age, like Meech said on Nights with Nicci the other night. So we understand it better now. The fact is, the older you get, the wiser you become, the more you start to see without the rose-colored glasses. The more you start to realize that fame really is a vapor. Money really does have wings. Because really ain't nobody, I know I ain't got none. And a lot of your faves who running around here pretending like they just balling out of control. Well, I don't know what people got in their bank account. I just know, y'all already know my situation. But anyway, my point is just, and popularity is indeed an accident. It is something that is just, oh, wow, okay, especially these days. Or something that is about rewarding bad behavior. They don't care about the quality of the material and the content that we are consuming because their communities don't get impacted negatively by us destroying each other in the media every day. Their communities get impacted in a very positive way in the form of subscribers and viewers. How many of us got, subscriptions to platforms that don't do nothing but show shit that degrades our community? Like, how many episodes of something showing a young man's mama teaching him how to cook crack? How many episodes of like, yeah, this was real hardcore gangster? How much of that are we going to consume before we start to realize that this is about an agenda? This is about conditioning. This is about amplifying and glorifying negative, toxic, destructive ass images. When are we as mothers, as grandmothers, as qualified, executives, and when are we going to realize that the only way we can change the direction of the toxic, destructive narratives is to build our own sugar, honey, ice, tea? Imagine if instead of fighting Candy and Portia and Nikki and Kenya and Nene and this one and that one and Lizzo and Megan and Regina and this one, all of us was like, hey, you know what? Let's start our own shit. And let's put out 10 projects a month. And let's do a lottery. Let's figure out who got, and let's have them subscribe, because when you listen to stars say, we have 30, I'm just throwing a number out there. We got 30, 40 million subscribers. And of those 30, 40 million subscribers, the majority of them are Black women. We're the majority everywhere. People making millions of motherfucking dollars off our eyeballs and our views and us talking about that shit. And that is the reason why I be having this real like aggressive, slightly angry, majorly irritated ass energy when I come on here and talk about it, because numbers don't lie. People do. We make people billions and billions and billions of dollars. And we don't own shit when it comes to media and content. And because my big ass mouth be on these lives and on these YouTube channels and all out here really telling the truth, shaming the devil and saying what the fuck it is, I get shadow banned. I don't like how Black gums and not knees. Bitch, my knees don't knock. Their legs are not the issue. Never have been. And God willing, never will be. Gums might be a little dark, but the legs, I ain't never had no issues there. But we will believe the bullshit. We will continue to go 13 years later laughing at the dumb shit instead of encouraging Black women in entertainment to come together, to bring our resources together, to pool our resources, to amplify each other's projects, to amplify each other. We always waiting on a fucking check from somebody who doesn't care about us. Don't care about our babies. Don't care about our nephews and nieces. Don't care about our communities. They just don't care. And we're so preoccupied with wanting validation from those people who don't get about us that we keep making them richer. And guess what we do when we make them richer? We make them more powerful. So that's like you got a monster in your basement and you keep throwing steak down that motherfucker. And he keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then he blows your whole house down. And then you'd be like, damn, we should listen to see Dolores Tucker when she told us, and not just us. And here's something I want y'all to peep. Who expected Tupac Biggie, Suge at the time. Who expected any of these young black men? And I'm gonna get to some of y'all's comments and stuff and respond to that. But who expected these young brothers to take in the message at their age? Just like I didn't understand, you know, finances and still don't, because I'm creative as fuck. But I'm saying when you're a certain age, when you're in your 20s, Tupac wasn't even 25 when he died. So who, and Biggie died very young too. So who expected these young men to really understand the message of a 50 or 60-year-old woman? The same way they don't understand what I'm saying right now about ownership. The same way they don't understand what I'm saying right now about my fight being our fight for intellectual property protection. Who expected children to understand the messages of C. Dolores Tucker? Not any real thinking, emotionally intelligent adults. But what's scary is that she took that to Capitol Hill and she had that conversation that Tupac and Biggie and Suge may not have been able to understand because, like Mish said, and like Lauren said, I'm a young kid sleeping in my mama's basement. I just got a record deal for $100,000. Who are you to tell me what not to do? This is my environment. This is where I'm from. And people say that shit a lot. They just rapping about where they're from. They just rapping about their environment. But you know who knows better? You know who should have known that what this woman is saying holds value and is powerful and should be taken seriously and really considered, because this could end up 30 years from now, like it is today, destroying an entire industry, an entire community. Maybe we should listen to this. Them people she was talking to on Capitol Hill. All those powerful people at those labels. All those politicians and those folks who are supposed to care about our community, are supposed to see issues that are brought up that are important, that have value, that are meaningful. Imagine if some of those responsible adults in the room when she went up on Capitol Hill and spoke took her seriously. Maybe, just maybe. This ain't about censorship. This is not about censorship. This is about Black entertainment having the same opportunities that country music has, that pop music has, all of those other that R&B, because that doesn't happen in R&B, that doesn't happen in jazz, right? You ain't typically worried about a bang bang and all that stuff. I mean, although if you watched R&B divas, bang bangs are involved sometimes, which is why Mama Canaz had to leave in real life. But I digress. Chances are, if we were amplifying love songs, R&B, gospel, jazz, other genres, will we be where we are today? Because the bottom line is, when we started to amplify the music that was pushing drugs and liquor and sex and debauchery and shenanigans in our community, slowly but surely, the good R&B, the good jazz became almost non-existent. It's almost like when she went up there and she spoke to those folks and she told them how detrimental this was going to be to our community, it's almost like it was like, maybe we had found a way in. And they had. Because as dope as some of the beats on those records are in hip hop, as much as hip hop is instrumental in establishing culture, as much as I love hip hop, as much as I love to see brothers very successful in this industry, and I know two things can be true. I do have my questions about now. Why is all this happening to our billionaire moguls now? I do keep hearing that message that Diddy had on Earn Your Leisure when he said what they got planned for us is not good. I do realize that when he went after Machine, things started to fall. But my point is just, she tried to save us from this, and we did not pay attention. And then we have a woman running for president, and because she is a woman of color, we don't want to listen to what she has to say. We don't. I don't know because I mean, she put a lot of black men in jail. She put a lot of black men in jail. She did. That's your beef. All of the lack of due process and can't present evidence and bad lawyers and not having money for bail and all that stuff, you put it on one person. And because people ran with that narrative, we are now facing the possibility of WW3. Now, we can go on and continue to not listen to the gifted ones. And I don't give a shit what you say, and I don't care who I piss off. They know how special we are. They know the extra sauce that the universe gave black women. Our ability to endure, our ability to progress, our ability to make everything feel, taste, look better is something you cannot take away from us unless you steal it, unless you prevent us from getting into the rooms, you block the door, unless you always choose corporate greed over what is right for the community, over what is right for groups of people. And that has happened over and over again. It happened 30 years ago when C. Dolores Tucker tried to warn us about what's happening with Diddy, what's happening with Suge, what's happening with R. Kelly, what's happening with all of them in jail or dead. Every last one of them that she said, like every one, well, not every one of them, but y'all know what I'm saying right here. So many of our brothers, young babies. Tupac was a baby. Biggie was a baby. These were babies. And C. Dolores Tucker tried to warn us, not because she wanted to be a mother hen, not because she wanted to be an out-of-touch church lady who wanted to silence the culture, because she was mature enough, as many of us are today. Because just like I said, I was wonder why they call you a bitch. I was singing the shit out of Jewel, whoever that is. I don't know who that is singing it, but they sang the shit out of that, and we was vibing and we wondered why they call you, and we was pocking fans, and we were disrespecting this woman who was doing everything in her power, risking being called all of those names, risking going to Capitol Hill and being ignored by all of those politicians, risking people not liking her because she had the foresight to understand that at some point, if we stay in this direction, we're going to be having freak offs. And we're going to be having people put claims against folks about this and essay and this and that and the third. And the industry puts so many resources behind pushing that narrative. I remember I was watching an award show. And I'm not going to say what award show it was, but if y'all was watching it too, then y'all know. And it was like performance after performance after performance was just TNA. Was black girl booty in bathing suits. And I'm not trying to push people to lean into respectability politics. I'm not saying that because you dress a certain way, you deserve to be treated a certain way, or because you dress a certain way, the perception is that you're a hood rat or you're a hoochie or whatever. But at the end of the day, black people are the only people who do that shit. And I'm going to tell you why I know this. Because other cultures have customs where their elders and the people that they honor and the people that they respect would frown upon certain behaviors, whether it is Muslim culture, whether it is Asian. Like, why do we not see anybody else doing all the shit that we've convinced ourselves is okay? And yeah, you could go and be like, well, Africans in Africa, we twerking and we this and that and the third. And listen, a little twerk every now and then is okay. But when all you see, when all that is being pushed out there to represent us as a complete whole picture, as a complete whole culture, is us fighting each other. We can't even have a reality show about doctors who spent years becoming educated to be what most people should aspire to become without them having to fight. Bravo is a beautiful network in terms of the aesthetic. Fun, funny. These women are funny. The shade is funny. But when it starts to cross over into every husband on that show ends up every couple on that show ends up getting divorced. Black men are painted out to just be horrible. People are humiliated and like when you take it too far, when it just goes too far left of center, because they don't care about what happens in our culture and they don't care about what happens in our community, just like music and entertainment has gone too far left center. It's time for some changes. And those changes should come in the form of women of color and allies, whatever color you are, say enough is enough. How do we come together? How do we pull our resources in our, because I'm going to tell you, what's going to be sad, just like Kamala tried to tell us about the situation we're in today. And y'all, I don't like her. It's always, I don't like her. Most people don't like people who telling them the truth. Most people want people who are going to bullshit them. Well, not most people, but many people want to just be entertained, all up in the videos dancing. Pretending like everything is okay when it's all falling apart. Our community is not well. We are not doing okay. Everything is not good. If you look in your own family, within your own family, you see the impact of these narratives and how they affect, right? You're like, I was going to go live, but I just got on one. I know I'm coming. Is it time to walk out? What time is it? Almost. Not yet. Come on, buddy. Come on. All right, I'm about to wrap this up. I'm on one. Let me look at some of these comments real quick. Right, which makes it hard for artists to get past it. Absolutely. Hollywood doesn't believe. Yes. Oprah had a message for me once, and it said, your light shines the brightest when you shine it on others. That's primarily how I move these days. Yes, you do, and I love you for it. He is probably referencing LA Silence. I don't know what that is. I wish y'all would bring R&B divas back. It would be, I would love to see R&B divas come back. I would love for the women on R&B divas to recognize our own power though, and for us to bring that shit back. I mean, imagine if whatever, that's a whole nother conversation. I can't wait until talk about this on Nights with Nicci. Yes, we're going to talk more about this. I just think get new divas and maybe bring the same former ones. Yep, a lot of people have been talking about new divas. Would y'all watch it with new divas? She did that with the thought that Capitol Hill, yep, would give a damn. Exactly. And I'm about to get into the Capitol Hill of it all. They just want to make Skrilla off of our backs. Absolutely, Chike. They keep us in the perception, perpetual peril because we will be vulnerable and weak, 100%. Let's see. A lot of people need to hear this. Yeah, and that's the reason why they block me, because I'm not afraid to tell the truth. And a lot of people don't like me because I tell the truth. And to all of those people, I say thank you for exposing yourself as somebody that doesn't deserve to hear it. Okay. Also, their community does not bring in the dollars that ours does. Our culture runs. Yes, we have trillions of dollars in buying power, but we have the largest group of people in poverty. We have the least amount of ownership. Knock. Fuck. I feel you. Thank you for feeling me. I appreciate that. Right. I got great legs. Don't play with me. My knees a little fat, but them bitches don't knock. Hello. People gonna run with that narrative. And they become more powerful. Yes, they always become more powerful. We live in a capitalist society that thrives on money. Yeah, but until you get to the point where you realize that okay. So real quick, Sora, to address that. That is always the response. The response is always, huh? They're threatening to shut down the oil, you guys. That has always been the thing. The money. Again, this is why I'm having this long-winded ass 12-hour live. The money comes from us. We the ones that make stars worth billions of dollars. We're the ones that make all these streaming platforms, all this money. That money, numbers don't lie. People do. We have trillions of dollars in buying power, but we do not believe enough in ourselves and each other that we can redirect those resources to our own platforms and our own stuff. Well, Isaac Hayes, same situation. We were talking to somebody on one of the lives, was like, yeah, they're like, oh, what about fan base? Fan base is a phenomenal idea. It is where we, there I go. But see, that's the whole point. The same way that I be sugarcoating and pussyfooting and going around spending time trying to figure out the right way to say it so I don't get all the way shadow manned. That app that man created, whose father was a singer, Isaac Hayes, he already has to worry about the competition not feeling him building better for us and more. But there's also the element of us not believing it's good enough because he's building it from the ground up. When you're building something from the bottom up, that's the reason why I do my lives anyway, even if it's just a few people on here. That's the reason why I do my YouTube channel anyway, even though I'm a nice struggle 17,000 subscribers, because we're building it from the bottom up and you have to keep chipping away at it until there is a breakthrough. And we as a community are not really, we're afraid. And I'm speaking to Black women in particular because we are the number one consumers in this mother God. We are the ones that make them billions of dollars. We are good enough to build billion-dollar brands, but not good enough to have ownership in them. Who built Tyler Perry's brand? I'll wait. A lot of y'all say Tyler. Tyler didn't build nothing by himself. He told stories, but Black women in the church, Black women in our communities built that. It's the same concept of people building a mega church who can't even keep their lights on in their own house. I'm going to say it again. Every time we do one of these reality shows, every time we do just make movies, Ryan Coogler deserved every coin he received off of Sinners because of what it contributed to our community. When you're telling stories like Wakanda, when you're telling stories like Sinners, when you're telling some of these powerful stories that really impact our community in a positive way and motivate and inspire people to change and to do dope shit and to really have ownership of those things, you deserve every dollar. But do you deserve those same dollars when everything is pushing the narrative about you being angry and broken and pulling bodies out of caskets and shoot, bang, bang, shoot? Like, why are we? And the reason why so many of us are buying into those narratives is because our community is so broken. Our community is so convinced that that's our truth. And it's not just about not having enough money, because there are plenty of Jamaica. You go to Jamaica, you go to a lot of places, it ain't about money. It's about quality of life. It's about how you perceive life. It's about what you put into your body, what you exude from your spirit, your energy, the positivity. But in the Black community, in the hood, you only hot if you got teardrops on your eyes from something that you done done. Hold on, let me close it. It's like respect comes in the form of fear. Respect comes in the form of who got the baddest body, who got the Air Mace bag that we just found out cost $10 to make, who got the Gucci bag that falls apart. I got one Gucci thing because I used to treat myself with my credit card on my birthday. I got some shoes. I wore them shits to the Essence Festival. They fell apart, and I'm not trying to disrespect nobody's brand, but the shit fell apart, and I was like, I got shoes I got from Target that lasted longer than this, because we've been convinced based on the narrative and the story and the lies that we've been told that it's better because it has. I thought I closed this up. Kato, I'm coming. We're convinced that it's better because it has this tag on it, right? That is what's happening to us in the media, and now we're at a crossroads, guys. Now we know for sure that Black women be telling the truth and people don't be listening. What are we going to do about it? I hope that all the Black women in the entertainment industry come together in media. Stop thinking you better than the next person because you got more money. Stop thinking you better than the next person because you got a better weave or your body better. Stop thinking you better than the next person because your vocals is better. You got more followers. You doing more shows. You doing more this, that, and the third. And come together and unify and cut out all that petty ass, trivial ass bullshit. And come together and figure out how we collectively, before these audiences are stripped away, and every day, y'all know, if you're being honest, your reach, your likes, that's why I don't even put my comments and shit and my likes on, because we're so consumed with, oh, that video only got 2 likes. Nigga, 5,000 people saw this video, and they want you to believe that this video only got two likes, because just like they want me to believe, when I get off this live, it's gonna tell me, maybe a few hundred people were on here. Y'all looking at that little box and it's like 10, 11, 12. No. This is so that you can be convinced that the messages and the good shit that you're putting out there is not being absorbed or received or seen. Numbers lie in the digital space all the time. You can buy followers, you can buy folks, you can pay for ads, all of that shit. We have to stop being so concerned about how things look and start to be more focused on how things really are, what is really happening. And what is really happening in the Black community is people in our community, to our detriment, have turned their backs on Black women in particular, who have warned us. All over the internet now, we see video clips of Kamala Harris saying that this thing that's happening right here today was going to happen. All over the internet, we see what C. Dolores Tucker said. And I'm sad to say that one day, creatives are going to be like, damn, Nicci Gilbert Daniels tried to tell our Nancy's that they didn't give a sugar honey iced tea about any of us. And corporate interest is all that matters. And with that being said, hold on. We live in a capitalist society. I'm sorry, they fooled her. They looked at her as an enemy that completely made her voice noise. Same as me. Always happens. That's what they have the power to do. Country music was created by us, just like rock and roll and the blues and jazz. Y'all make sure y'all follow my soror Golden 1704. She is one of my co-hosts on my live show. Chike, I got to get you on Nights with Nikki as well, please. What is this? Annihilate them from there you go. From within. I'm glad you're speaking up about this. Thank you. Thank you, my sister. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for paying attention. She didn't want to put that many in jail. It was less than 50. Right, exactly. But the narrative, some bullshit. Those books tell the truth. Right. Yes, indeed. In facts. Banned books. Absolutely. They love our destruction from within. Division, that's what it's all about. Absolutely. Everything is hypersexualized. Absolutely. If we had a reality show with positive-minded, progressive Black men, sad part is I don't believe that it would stay on. Here's the thing. That's the reason, you guys, that is the reason why it's so important, because they say men on TV and reality TV doesn't work. I don't agree with that. I just think that it hasn't been done right. But that's the reason why it's so important for us to build. We're always talking about the kind of shows we want to see, the kind of shows that will work, the kind of stuff that we would be interested in. We have to build the platform, the space that we OW in, so that we can, if let's say, for example, and at this point, listen, I'm going to put this out there and somebody could take the idea and run with it because we so desperately need it in our community. I just hope it's one of us. But I mean, you can't just die with the truth in you. Not that I, plan on doing that anytime soon, but, be walking around with your nose open and your eyes closed. So if we could figure out a way, once again, where all of us came together and, let's just say Taraji got a new movie coming out and this movie and we're putting everything behind it like we did with Sinners. But let's just say right before or right after Sinners, that show that you're talking about, Chike, came on. Or let's just say a commercial for that show that you're talking about came on during something like Sinners, or doing something that we really know a lot of people are going to tune into. That is how you piggyback great ideas and great shows and great concepts off of pre-existing fan bases and ideas. It's a shame. And that is the issue that I have with Tyler Perry. I don't know about all of this other stuff that the folks are talking about. I wasn't there. I wasn't in the room. And I pray to God that none of it is true. But the issue that I have with people like Tyler, and honestly, I'm gonna say Oprah too. I'm gonna say Byron Allen too. He's from Detroit. I'm gonna say anybody who has their own production company and studio and platforms and all of that stuff, that have not done the Bob Johnson by now, which is why I always, talk about how great I think the TV One machine, even though we had our bumps in the road along the way, it's amazing that, like, why aren't all those people going over to TV One? Since they're already established and they already have the infrastructure, or creating their own thing and putting us in a position. Yeah, everybody's like Netflix and this and that and the third. And I'm not mad at none of them people, even though I'm sure that everybody done told everybody that by now about me. Oh well. But that's my point. We are always so concerned about speaking truth because we'll get blackballed, or speaking truth because, you know, we don't not want to do it because you don't want to piss somebody off and not have an opportunity to work and feed your family and shit. That's terrible that we have to live like that. It's terrible Monique can't just say what Monique got to say and we can just move on. It's terrible that I can't say, yes, I wish Tyler, this ain't about making people rich. This ain't about giving people millions of dollars. I would rather somebody say, you know what, I could pay you to do this role or to do this part, or I could help you set up your own studio. I could really help you promote WIRF.TV. I could really help you build your, have the resources to bring people on board, to help create the infrastructure. Hiring from within and hiring us is beautiful. That is exactly what our WORF initiative is all about. In fact, what's crazy, and then I'm gonna get into this letter, and I know this live is super long, but it's important, and I gotta get it out. We did this Equality Can't Wait challenge with Mackenzie Jeff Bezos's ex-wife and Bill Gates's now ex-wife. And the whole concept of this grant proposal was to figure out how to accelerate, opportunities for women and girls in the next 10 years. And this wasn't just about Black people, but it was just, women and girls in general, right? Figuring out how to change the trajectory of what is happening with us, right? And our grant was for WIRF TV. We partnered with AIB, which is a local nonprofit station here where we shoot a lot of our She Speaks Live and Diary of a Diva content, which we are bringing that back in the fall, all new season. But we put together a really awesome grant. And then they go through this phase where they like give you a score on the grant. And we scored like 80 something, 84, 85% on it. So it presented very, very well. And they gave maybe 5 or $10 million grants to initiatives and programs that would elevate opportunities for women and minorities. We kicked ass, busting our ass, working on that thing. It was 2020. We didn't get the grant. I get it. It was their money and they got to choose who they gave it to. But hindsight, when you look at how destructive the media has been, there weren't any other ideas like ours where it was all about empowering women to set up our own media platforms so we could have more control over the narratives and the depictions, i.e. what C. Dolores Tucker was talking about. Wasn't another company like that. I think people didn't understand it at the time. Now, 5 years later, how powerful would it be now that we don't have Black representation on CNN the way we used to? Now that we don't have Black representation. Now there's YouTube, but come on, if YouTube decides tomorrow, like, it's a wrap. We are always focused on being accepted by legacy media, legacy brands, the Oscars, the ABCs, the NBCs, and ain't nothing wrong with that. But at what point are we going to stop complaining about the Oscars and stop complaining about this and that and the third and build up the Soul Train Awards? Or create our own platforms for us to be showcased in that way. Create our own platforms for us to have our movies about. When I went and pitched Sarah Stokes' story to every damn network, all the film festivals, every single time I was met with it's too dark, it's too dark, it's too dark, it's too dark. And then R. Kelly comes. And then the stuff comes with Weinstein. And then the stuff comes with Epstein. Then the stuff comes with Diddy. And then the stuff comes with R. Kelly. And all of this stuff, and Bill Cosby, and all of these men who have lost everything, who have reaffirmed and confirmed what this industry is made of. But I'm doing a whole documentary film, super powerful, and I am met with, it is just, there's no levity. There is no levity in our community right now, entertainment and media. There's no, there ain't shit to be, what are we in this motherfucker really geeked up about? The have and the have-nots? The narrative of the angry black woman, the sad black woman. Why is it that these, okay, slow down. Why is it that these people who have these networks, who have this power, who have this reach, cannot, even if I'm not included in the group of people, identify 10 women leaders in Black media and entertainment and put resources and funding and opportunity behind those women so that they can build their own shit. Not for you to control what they do, to control what they say, not for you to give them a diversity, equity, and inclusion title that's going to go away in a few years, but to give them something viable, tangible, and real, even if it's in a trust forever that is specifically solely for the purpose of our community to be able to share our narratives like a, I'm saying PBS, people are like PBS, but something along the lines of that, where it is an institution that will be here all the time. That's what we're trying to do with From the Bottom Up. That's what we're trying to do with WIRF.TV. But the reason why I have such a hard time getting the resources and getting the things that I need to really build that up is because aside from life, and aside from being a caregiver for a sister with brain cancer, aside from being in a 5-year legal battle for ownership, aside from all those things, I was painted out to be someone. What's Selena say? It's a special place in hell for a bitch like you. Why? Because I'm trying to protect y'all. Because I'm trying to show up for my sisters. Because I don't know if everybody forgot, but I created this movie. I brought us all together. I put every resource I had on the table so we could get to where we got with this franchise. And they kicked me to the curb and allowed me to get evicted, allowed my family to suffer, and didn't pay me for 2 years on some shit I created that they created 3 franchises from. Hollywood Divas, R&B Divas LA, and R&B Divas Atlanta. And they said, fuck Nicci. And everybody attached to that franchise, except for the ones that showed up, said Nicci too. And that is a sin and a shame, because everybody also knows that I had everybody's back and I wanted nothing but the best. And this idea that I have of us unifying and coming together and taking over the world and doing really amazing things together is something that we all hoped for, planned for, and it was taken away from us because they convinced us. Like they convinced the housewives, like they convinced everybody on Love and Hip Hop, like they convinced all these reality TV people and even people in music and media and all that other stuff. Tamar, K. Michelle is always feeding off of division. And we are convinced that that's the only way we could succeed. And it's horrible. And it's horrible because it's having real generational impact. Your kids are going to be affected by this. Thank you for the message. You're welcome. Most in the community don't support most people in the community. Okay, I'm trying to get through some of these, you guys. Let's see. All right, I'm about to read this thing because I'm on one today. And then I'm just going to post this if you guys are coming in and you don't know what I'm talking about. And you want to see this live from the beginning, it will be on WIRF.TV YouTube channel. So one of the reasons why I'm, usually when I come on live on Instagram, whether it is a car rant or in the studio rant as I am today, it is because something has just completely, disturbed my spirit. And I've just learned that it's better for me to get it out so that I don't hold on to it. I already got a really bad case of TMJ and my blood pressure goes up. And it's just, I've been through a lot. And every single day is a blessing, but it is definitely a challenge. Not from the perspective of like full-blown depression or anything, but just everything I'm already fighting for and trying to help establish for a community that's just like they didn't with C. Dolores Tucker, like they didn't with Kamala Harris, like they don't with Black women, just doesn't understand how important what I am saying is. I've been in this industry for 30 years and nobody becomes the difficult person in the industry that's just so hard to deal with. I'm not hard to fucking deal with. I'm hard to play with. And I am hard to convince that the bullshit that so many of us have accepted is all we are worth is what I place my value on. None of us should be placing our value on what a culturally incompetent lens has determined is who we are. Our culture, for 30 years now, after we're seeing this Diddy stuff and this Suge stuff, and our culture has been created by people who have funded the very worst of who we are. And it's fucked up. At least now we know it wasn't that you were difficult. It was that you weren't participating in the debauchery. It was I was always labeled difficult because I didn't just lean into the bullshit. I wasn't trying to acquiesce and be somebody's friend and get brownie points. I felt like what I did should be rewarded based on my talent, my gift, my work ethic. And instead I was met with, she's difficult, she's a problem. I'm still waiting for somebody to tell me who sent somebody to the hospital, made producer quit because they were so terrible on R&B Divas. I'm still waiting for that. But that narrative and that shit is the reason we stay divided. So, like I said, usually when I'm on one and I have one of these super long-winded rants, it is because I saw something and I need to release it. So what I've started doing is I created a Substack, you guys. If you don't know what Substack is, it is a platform where you have an opportunity to write. It's a lot of journalists and a lot of writers on there. And unlike some people out here who are just taking credit for shit they didn't write, I actually write in real life. Not to say I don't proof my shit and run it through Grammarly and all that other stuff, whatever, but I am a writer in real life. And I've learned that in addition to getting on here having these rants, I can write. So please join my Substack. I'll put the link in my in my LinkedIn bio. I'm sorry, Linktree bio for IG. But I read an article and it really got me stressed out because you guys know I have like C. Dolores Tucker, I'm going to Capitol Hill. I have a writ of certiorari in the Supreme Court of the United States. And I already won because I went all the way. I promised my sister. I fulfilled that promise. I went to the court. I got some earrings. I got a mug. I'm in the Supreme Court forever. My story, my truth, whether it gets granted or not, is in the Supreme Court of the United States. And press helps a lot. Kiddo, stop snoring. Press helps a lot with these cases. I wish that I could get some of the press that, let me get my dog out of here real quick. Come on, come on. Child is snoring. He's snoring like a 75-year-old man. But fighting for creatives is next to impossible because the rules and the laws that they make decisions on, that they've made decisions on for years, are basically established by very wealthy people, powerful corporations. Because the truth is, it's so difficult financially, emotionally. It's just the hardest thing. I know I say it all the time. I rant about it all the time, but y'all have no idea. Like to go to the courts for help, for protection, as a person who's been in this industry for 30 years, getting played, getting clowned, getting robbed, fought more times than I celebrated. Right? We get out there, we sing, we perform. I show up live on lives. I show up, these pictures and all this photo and all this post and stuff, breaking down the fourth wall for a minute, y'all. There are days I don't want to do none of this shit. Most of the time I don't. But I realize that I have to because now we have this thing called the algorithm that you have to stay a part of. You have to be in the algorithm. It is hard for me to fake what is happening. When I post a picture of me looking fly or singing or on stage and all that kind of stuff, it typically gets a lot of engagement. But that is not what my spirit and my heart, even though, I'm having a good time, I'm enjoying it, I'm in the moment, and I look back and be like, damn, she was 50 fine, okay? But I'm like, but I really want to talk to my people about how we get beyond the whole smoke and mirrors of what we do for a living. But you have to keep feeding the algorithm fluff because they don't want you to let the real shit go through or get through. And when you're fighting for creatives and you're fighting for your community, you are fighting against billions of dollars. You don't understand how traumatizing and terrible and awful this shit is until you are in it. And that is the reason why every opportunity I have to say something about it, I say it. I share it. Because I don't want any other family to go through what we went through. I don't want to go so far as to say if somebody stole something for you or if somebody took one of your ideas, you shouldn't sue them. You should just let them have it and keep it moving. I don't ever want to say that. As a person who's always advocating for creatives, always advocating for what's right, I never want to be the person to tell someone you shouldn't do it. But I'm going to tell you this right now. If I don't get the opportunity to go to trial with all the evidence that I have, with all the facts, having met with them, y'all ain't gonna never see the deposition. We had a whole sworn deposition with Katori, with Nico, with the CEO of Lionsgate. Y'all are never gonna see it because the judge redacted it. That's why when y'all talk about the Tory Lanez thing, the evidence, you don't know what evidence was not shown. I'm not going against nobody. I'm not going against Meg. I'm not going against anybody. I'm saying I have learned that there is evidence in a lot of cases that could help defendants, that could help plaintiffs. And if you don't have a whole lot of money or a whole lot of power, sometimes that evidence is never presented. And it's unfair. So what sent Miss Nicci into a tizzy today, aside from breaking her thumbnail at Sam's Club and losing her gold earring, and I can't wear fake ones at Sam's Club today because I was moving too fast because I'm worried about this WAR. I read an article. I'm not going to read the article, but I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to let y'all go. And hopefully I said something that sticks with some folks. And hopefully you guys tell people to go to WIRF.TV YouTube channel. The reason I'm pushing my YouTube is because I am monetized there and I'm feeding the algorithm and I'm feeding the channel because mama got bills to pay. And thank God that YouTube allows us to make a little 2 pennies off of the stuff that we put out there. Also, Nicci, wanted to let you know we have this new AI movement going on Google, okay, which is tearing our community. Y'all, okay, we're gonna talk about all of that, but yeah, all of that. All of that. We got AI making songs from Aaliyah, AI making songs from Michael Jackson, AI gonna be doing songs from Brown. So it's AI trailers out there that ain't even real. So creatives, I'm gonna say this real quick, then I'm gonna read this. When you think about Black people and being successful. Yeah, I've seen these crazy videos. These days, we're not gonna know what to believe. You live on Culture Church, sister. Thank you. I love you so much, Chike. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad these apps do some good things. They bring those of us who are like-minded together. And I'm so grateful for that. I know I'll be on here. But real quick, shit, I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm so tired. We are already competing with corporations. Now we're competing with AI. Now there's a way to use it to our benefit as well, which I'm learning. Because we got to keep up with the Joneses when it comes to this technology thing. But us having a place for us to go that we know is human, is real, is sharing our real authentic stories, and, you know, isn't just propaganda and BS. A place where we can collectively see good movies and hear good music and have great conversations and share. It's so hard for creatives to be authentic and real because we know everything we say on these lives, everything we say is going to be used against us. Somebody not going to like the way, my mouth move when I talk. Somebody not going to like the way I suck my teeth and roll my neck. But when we get to a point where we allow our influencers and our people who have platforms to feel safe being vulnerable and being honest, and more than anything, being authentic and real, then maybe some of these people who are in these entertainment industry streets being accused of doing really horrible, heinous, effed up stuff, maybe they would feel safer to just live in their truth and not do so much shit undercover. Because a world where creatives are able to just be human and be real and talk about the things that affect them and have that change or positively impact the community that we love is a world that everybody's going to want to be a part of. And we just have to understand that we have to attach value to that the same way we attach value to these subscriptions to these other platforms that don't get about us. Corporations don't care about us personally. What they care about is what we bring as far as revenue and eyeballs to their platforms. The minute we realize that power could be concentrated in our own space, that doesn't mean we don't still have to support those other places, but we are in partnership and not just works for hires and damn near slaves. Because, baby, I got so much. Ooh, I wish I could tell y'all the truth about so many things I discovered in Discovery about P Valley and Katori, and I feel for the sister. I do, because she has no idea of the things that never mind. Okay, so anyway, let me say this, and I'm getting off for real because I keep saying that and whatever. So I saw a video where Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. Let me read. So it's on my Substack. I'm gonna read it now. I'm posting to my YouTube. Please go to my Substack, subscribe. But I got really scared. I got really emotional, and I started to feel really defeated. Because at first I was like, yes, she said it. She said it. She said what I've been saying all this time. And then I was like, oh, shit. I have a case in that court. Oh, I can forget about it. So I wrote an open letter. And here it is. And then I'm going to let y'all go eat dinner. The title is When Justice Favors Goliath, What the Supreme Court Must Decide About Who Gets Heard, by Nicci Gilbert Daniels. Last week, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson issued a scorching dissent. That basically, a dissent means that she issued an opinion on something that she was not in the majority decision on, right? Last week, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson issued a scorching dissent that stopped me in my tracks. In a case about clean vehicle rules, she warned that the Supreme Court is feeding a dangerous perception that justice is more accessible to billion-dollar corporations than it is to ordinary people. And as someone standing on the front lines of this fight, I finally felt seen. Because this isn't theory for me. This is my life. I'm a Black woman from Detroit, a Grammy-nominated artist, a playwright, a creator, and I'm in the fight of my life against a billion-dollar media empire. In 2020, I filed a lawsuit against Lionsgate and the creators of P-Valley, a hit series that I believe copied the heart of my stage play I wrote years earlier, Soul Kitten's Cabaret. The parallels are undeniable to me and many others, but my case was tossed before a jury ever heard it. The judge said no reasonable juror could find the work similar. My expert witness was dismissed, and I was ordered to pay almost $1 million in legal fees to the very company that I believe exploited my work. That's not justice. That's economic intimidation dressed up in legal robes. Now, my case, Gilbert Daniels versus Lionsgate, sits before the United States Supreme Court. I filed a petition asking them to hear it, to reconsider how courts evaluate copyright theft, to finally let a jury of everyday people weigh the facts instead of letting corporations define the narrative unchallenged. Justice Jackson's dissent couldn't have come at a more powerful time. In it, she criticized the court for bending over backwards to hear cases brought by wealthy fuel producers, even though the law they were challenging was nearly moot. Why? Because she suggested that those with deep pockets seemed to enjoy a shorter line and a softer landing. This case, she wrote, gives fodder to the unfortunate perception that moneyed interests enjoy an easier road to relief in this court than ordinary citizens. I'm coming. Tell me that it's not exactly what is happening here in my case. I'm not a billion-dollar brand. I'm a woman who stood up, pro se, armed with only the truth, creative ownership, and the will to fight for what is mine. I didn't just lose a copyright case. I was stripped of my constitutional right to a jury trial. I was punished for not having the power, the funding, or the access to a corporate machine. And now, I wait to see what the Supreme Court will do, whether they will open the door for me or prove Justice Jackson's warning was not just prophetic, but already a reality. This case matters for every artist, every writer, every entrepreneur, and every underdog who has dared to build something original. If the courts continue to raise the bar so high that only those with millions in legal firepower can bring a claim, then copyright law belongs to them, and it becomes a fortress for us, not a shield. Creativity itself becomes a risk that you cannot afford to take unless you already belong to the Billionaires Club. Let me be clear. This is not about my play. It's about whether the legal system sees creators like me as worthy of protection or if we're just collateral damage. It's about whether the highest court in the land will send a message that justice does not belong to Goliath. It belongs to all of us. So, to the court, I say this. If you could make time for a case brought by oil companies challenging a law that was already on its way out, then you can make time for a woman who's still standing, still fighting for her family's generational wealth and wellness, and still demanding to be heard. Justice is not about the cases you decide. It's about the ones you choose not to ignore. And that's that, y'all. So this was probably 2 hours. I don't know, but I hope that y'all got something from this long-winded ass rant of mine. I feel much better after losing my earring and breaking my nail at Costco. And go get you some non-perishable items. And listen to Black women when we tell y'all some shit. All right, I love you guys. Peace and blessings.